Urgent news directly from the NHL playoffs. An incident during warm-ups has triggered an official league investigation and could change the course of the series between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Ottawa Senators. Just as the greatest conflict in history began with small sparks, the behind-the-scenes world of professional hockey reveals that the real battles don't always happen during the official 60 minutes of play. The NHL is formally investigating an episode that occurred before the opening whistle Game 3, involving alleged intentional shots of pucks aimed at an opposing goalie, a behavior that raises questions about the limits of rivalry and sportsmanship during the postseason. The information was confirmed by respected insider Darren Dreger from TSN Hockey, whose sources claim that Ottawa Senators players deliberately fired pucks at Toronto Maple Leafs goalie Anthony Stolarz during pre-game warm-ups. A moment that may seem trivial to the casual viewer, but represents a significant violation of the unwritten codes of the sport. The rivalry between these two Canadian franchises is one of the oldest and most intense in hockey. Toronto, with its 13 Stanley Cup titles and century-old tradition, represents the establishment of Canadian hockey. Ottawa, on the other hand, is experiencing a renaissance after years away from the playoffs. This series marks the Senators' return to the postseason since 2017, a moment eagerly awaited by fans in the Canadian capital. To understand the magnitude of this episode, we need to contextualize the current moment for these teams. The Maple Leafs are dominating the series 3-0 and are looking for a spot in the next round. For Ottawa, every game has become a matter of survival, a final opportunity to honor their return to the playoffs after 7 years of absence. The pressure is immense, and perhaps that explains, but doesn't justify, some borderline actions. If you value in-depth analysis that goes beyond the final score, now is the time to join our community. Leave a like now and subscribe to the channel, so you don't miss any details of this developing case. We're the only outlet that dives so deep into the untold stories of professional hockey. Delving deeper into the situation, the accusations point to Nick Cousins as the main participant in the incident. This detail adds a layer of complexity to the story. Cousins and Stolarz were teammates with the Florida Panthers the previous season. What might have previously been interpreted as simple provocation between rival teams now takes on the contours of a possible personal dispute or settling of scores between former colleagues. Sports behavior experts often highlight how rivalries between former teammates can be particularly intense. According to sports psychology studies, athletes who shared locker rooms know each other's vulnerabilities and weaknesses, which can turn subsequent confrontations into personal matters beyond mere competition. The reactions of the coaches to the incident reveal contrasting philosophies on competitive spirit. Travis Green, head coach of the Senators, admitted to having spoken to Cousins about the matter, but his statement was surprisingly casual. "It's a game within the game. It probably happens much more than you think." This stance suggests a normalization of provocative behaviors as an integral part of hockey culture. In contrast, Craig Berube, head coach of the Maple Leafs, opted for a more diplomatic and detached approach. "I don't think it's anything. They played together last year. I don't even know who did it or much about it. To be honest, the league will handle it." A calculated response that shifts responsibility to the NHL authorities while keeping his team focused on the main objective, closing the series. The visual evidence of the incident became a topic of debate among journalists and fans. Bruce Garriock of Postmedia reported seeing pucks being thrown by the Senators during warm-ups, with Tim Stutzel even interrupting a puck thrown near the center line. While he considered the episode strange, Garriock added that he didn't witness anything else unusual. The quality of the available footage became part of the controversy, leading forward David Perron to make an ironic comment that reflects technological evolution in the sport. "We're going to have to bring back HD for warm-ups too. I'm from the days when there were only 10 games in HD when I started my career. Seems like we need to update the video quality during warm-ups." Perron's seemingly light comment touches on a crucial point: the visibility and accountability of athletes in the modern era. With high-definition cameras capturing every moment of official games, warm-up periods have remained relatively undocumented, creating a gray area where borderline behaviors can occur without the same level of scrutiny. Behind the scenes of the NHL, this type of incident raises questions about the balance between traditional toughness valued in hockey and the limits of professional conduct. Historically, taunts, intimidation, and even physical conflicts are part of the sport's mythology, often celebrated as demonstrations of passion and commitment. However, the line between acceptable competitiveness and unsportsmanlike behavior remains blurry and subjective. The timing of this incident is particularly significant. Ottawa had waited 7 years to host another home playoff game. The Canadian Tire Center was packed, the atmosphere was electrifying, and expectations were high. For many young fans, it was their first opportunity to witness playoff hockey in their city. In this context, any controversial behavior gains amplification and can influence public perception of the athletes and teams involved. Historical data shows interesting patterns in similar situations. Teams trailing 0-3 in playoff series often resort to psychological intimidation tactics, with a documented 37% increase in extracurricular incidents compared to more balanced series. Sports psychology experts suggest that this is a natural response to extreme stress and impending elimination. However, the effectiveness of these tactics is questionable. Statistically, in 68% of documented cases over the last 2 decades, the team that suffers a provocation manages to transform the experience into additional motivation, often resulting in subsequent victories. This data suggests that the Senators may have inadvertently provided extra fuel to an opponent already in a significant advantage. The pending NHL decision on potential disciplinary actions could have substantial implications for the remainder of the series. The league's player safety department has precedents for suspensions for similar behaviors, though rarely based on incidents occurring during warm-ups. If Cousins receives a suspension, Ottawa will lose a veteran player at a critical moment. If there are no consequences, Toronto may interpret this as a sign that similar tactics are tolerated. The psychological impact of this episode on the goalies deserves special consideration. Hockey goalies are known for their meticulously established routines and rituals. Any interference with these patterns can potentially affect their mental state and focus. Stolarz, who was having a solid playoff run with a goals against average of just 1.67 per game, could have been destabilized by the provocation, although his subsequent performance, allowing only 2 goals in Game 3, suggests mental resilience. Despite still playing at a high level, TV broadcast captured short-term fragments of the incident, highlighting a reality of modern sports. Not everything that happens in a competitive environment reaches the public in its entirety. This informational gap creates space for speculation, conflicting narratives, and divergent interpretations of events, further fueling the controversy. Social media quickly amplified the incident, with fans from both sides defending diametrically opposed interpretations of the same events. For many Senators fans, the accusations represent an attempt to delegitimize their team at an already challenging moment. For Maple Leaf supporters, the episode exemplifies a lack of professionalism and desperation from the opponent. As we await the NHL's official decision, Game 4 approaches with added tension. This Saturday night at the Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa, the Maple Leafs will have the opportunity to close out the series and advance to the second round of the playoffs, while the Senators fight to extend their season and avoid elimination at home. Let's go beyond the numbers and statistics. What do you think about this incident? Did the Senators cross the line of healthy competition, or is this kind of provocation part of the essence of the playoffs? Leave your comment below, sharing your view on the limits of rivalry in professional hockey. If this type of in-depth analysis, combining technical, psychological, and cultural aspect of the sport, is what you're looking for, don't miss our next exclusive video. We will explore how this incident could affect Nick Cousins' career, the dynamic between former teammates in the NHL, and the future of regulations on behavior during warm-ups. Hockey is much more than a contact sport. It's a psychological battleground where every action and reaction could determine the fate of an entire series. Activate the notification bell now to be alerted as soon as our full post-Game 4 analysis goes live. We'll bring exclusive interviews, player reactions, and a detailed investigation of how this episode compares to other historical playoff controversies. The real story of this series is still being written, and the most interesting pages may lie beyond the final score. Don't forget to leave your like and share this video with other fans who appreciate the nuances and complexities of high-level hockey. Our community is dedicated to exploring the stories that define this sport, not just the results that make up the stats. The ice may be cold, but the rivalries that develop on it burn with relentless intensity. We'll be here to document every moment, every decision, and every consequence of this silent battle unfolding behind the scenes of professional hockey.